You're listening to the Game Tenants Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to the Game Tenants Podcast, the failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom.
AKA worthlessly lazy, but so game crazy.
This is episode 87, and I am Church of the Game Grinder, and as always joined by my excellent co-host, Jason of Corpse Slug Gaming.
Hey guys, how's it going? And with us, we got an extra special guest this episode, Mr. John Rigg'd of Rigg'd Gaming. How you doing, John?
Good, man. How are you feeling?
Perfect.
Thanks for joining us.
It's the beginning of a new year and a new decade, so we thought we'd start this decade off with a bang by having a pretty cool guest.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
So just in case listeners don't know who you are, do you want to let people kind of know, what you do and a little bit about yourself?
I promise you, nobody's heard of me and what I've, or who I am or what I've done. No, you know what? I host a YouTube channel. It depends on who you ask about what I'm best known for. Some people know me best as being part of the Metal Jesus crew. I'm one of Metal Jesus' friends, and he invites me on his channel frequently. Some people know me as the guy who attempts to fix broken video games with open cart surgery. And then sometimes some people come up to me at conventions and say, I love the fact that you have your kids on your channel. Because I'm a dad. I'm a dad first. And, growing up, we always wanted to be on the news. So we could call up Grandma and say, hey, Grandma, turn on the news. I'm going to be on TV. Well, my kids don't watch TV. They watch YouTube. So it gives me an outlet to, put my kids in the medium that they watch.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it works out pretty well.
That's why I like having my kids in my videos too. And they get super excited when they see themselves on TV too.
Right.
Oh, did you see my new episode? When one of them's in it and the others aren't, they make all the other kids come in the room and watch.
It's cute. No, I don't have a solid focus on my channel, but the open cart surgery thing is probably what I'm best known for. But I love showing off new games for the Switch. I love showing off hacks and repros. Like I have tutorials on how you can take an old Nintendo game, take your favorite Nintendo game, take out maybe Mario, for instance, put yourself in there, put it back onto a physical cartridge. I show you how to do all that. So it's a big old grown-up version of show and tell.
Yes.
I really want to do that someday with like me and Mighty Final Fight. I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Oh, it's such a great game too.
Yeah, I love that game. It's my most sought after game on the NES right now. By a lot. But I mean, at least I got means of playing it in the meantime.
Yeah.
It's a pricey one, so I'll
find it now. Good Lord, I hope so.
I'll find it at some point. I'm pretty patient.
Yeah, collecting for NES especially, you got to be anymore.
Oh yeah, I just play the waiting game, and because I know like when I finally go, all right, I'll pick it up, I'll buy it, and then I'll find a lot 2 weeks later, and it'll be in there, and I'll be like, come on.
Yeah, but then there'll be someone else who's also looking for that game, so you can take the lot, grab the game, grab the better version of it for yourself, and then the other one you can either flip it or trade it or do something with it anyway. Most of my collection came from either buying games in the late 90s or just through trades, where it's like, I have this game, I don't really need it, but someone else really wants it, but it's worth, has a value to it, so I was like, oh, perfect, I'll trade you this one game for these 20 commons that I don't have yet. And, we both win at the end.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm. That's what I've been pretty much how I've got most of my collection going too.
Nice.
Just buy big lots and flip it and trade. I prefer trading. I hate selling. I really hate selling games. I never want to ask what I know it's worth because I don't like playing that game. I don't making it a business.
How much would you pay for it?
Keeping it a hobby. Yeah, I like keeping it a hobby. I like going. All right, would you take? Kind of like trading cards used to be. You just feel like,
sure.
I want that guy. I'll give you these two for it, kind of thing. Yeah, I'd rather do that than sell any day. So.
No, I feel you, and then you go to conventions too, and I love going to video game conventions, and everyone has their own thing, and I'm kind of that way too, where it's like I understand that there has to be a value. Like I don't want to, if I'm shopping for a new car, I want to be able to see what the price is. I don't want to ask someone. So exactly. I understand there's got to be a value, so I'll put a value on it. But I also understand people are paying money to show up. They bought, they have to pay for parking sometimes. So it's like, well, if they're going to show up to a video game convention, I want to give them a good deal. If I'm selling the same price as eBay, then they just buy it on eBay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but more often than not, if there's a trade to be had, man, I'm all about just trading up and we both win in the end.
Yeah, speaking of trading and conventions, I really don't want to go as big as I did last year at Midwest Gaming Classic. Anyone that was on my panel will remember I had this gigantic Rubbermaid container that I was supposed to do a trade with the Video Games Monthly guys, and I was lugging it through the whole hall, and it was so heavy. I lugged it from the hotel into the hall. We did our panel, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta go meet those guys now," and I ran with it, and it was it was an ordeal. I definitely beefed up that day just from carrying that crap around. But they ended up being gone, but I ended up getting a pretty good trade in for that. So
for sure,
pick up some games I normally wouldn't even look at the games that they were pricey ones, but I just when you got trade credit, it seems more doable.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So, John, do you collect games? Do you have a collection?
What's funny? I don't consider myself a collector, but I have a collection.
Okay.
Just starting in I used to buy, sell, and trade games. I mean, I'm going to date back to the mid to late 90s using how old am I? The Usenet news groups where where I'd go online and it was like Rec Arts binary video games or something like that, and that's where I would find at the time pretty good deals. GameStop or GameStop back in the day was Software Etc. Electronics Boutique. They started liquidating stock. GB Games. They started liquidating NES and Super Nintendo stock. Even when around the time when the PlayStation was still around and everything. But I still loved these old games. There wasn't really a value to it yet. There was some value. Some games were maybe worth more than others. But this is back when it's like, I just go there and whatever I could find. Any game I didn't have for a while, I would pick up. It's like that's where I found Swamp Thing for the NES for $3. My copy of Bucky O'Hare for the NES still has the $5 sticker on the label because they put the sticker on the label. I'm not going to read it.
Cardinal sin.
I'm pretty confident in myself that I could remove it now, but I kind of want to keep it there too. It's like I bought that $5, you know.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's like a talking piece. It's like the people who've got a sealed Earthbound and it's got like a $5 clearance sticker on it.
Oh my God, my friend at the Immortal John Hancock, his story behind how he has his sealed Snatcher for the Sega CD was because it was at some random pawn shop. And apparently, according to the guy behind the counter, it's been there for like 2 years. Nobody cared about it, and he got it for like $5 or something like that. I forgot his story.
Nice.
Please just take it.
Exactly. He was happy to get rid of it, and he was happy to pick it up. But this is, again, there wasn't much of a value, and it's in the late 90s, going into the 2000s, right around 2000, must have been 2003. I would have them, and I would play them sometimes, but they were just kind of there. And then there wasn't really, like I said, there wasn't like the whole value. I mean, not a lot. The collector value, especially what it is today. Mm-hmm. So I just left it there. I let it marinate. Moved away from my parents because I was still living in my parents' basement at the time. I was literally that kid who lived in my parents' basement playing video games all day, watching I remember that. Watching anime and all that. Oh yeah. So I moved to another town. I couldn't take my collection with me, so I just brought a couple of things. Kept my NES collection there as well as Super Nintendo and stuff like that. Moved to a couple of different cities. It took about maybe 2013 or so when somebody sent me a list. Hey, you like old video games? Here's this list from Racket Boy. Top 10, most expensive Nintendo games today. And I'm looking through this list. I was like, holy crap! I have 7 out of these 10, and they're just and they're literally sitting in my parents' basement right now. So that's when I kind of rescued them again, got them back, and I was like, well, I can maybe finish up the sets. From there, I started to gun for a complete NES set, and I got to about a little over 600 unique, and then all of the rest of them were all sports games. And I was like, I'm not spending more than $10 on a sports game. So
yeah, you're like, oh man, I've had stadium events holding up my coffee table. Right,
yeah, never had stadium events, but it would not be a good story, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, so just from there, and I've always bought the games that I've wanted to play. And it didn't really have a whole lot that was just, unless it was part of a lot, like you said. Like I'd buy a lot of games and I don't really need them, but they're still kind of there. You know, I try to avoid the shelf filler, and just from there, I just have the games that I want to play. So I mean, I don't consider myself a collector, but I have a collection.
Sure.
You don't collect for value; you collect for what you actually want to play.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not, and outside of Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom for the NES, I'm not married to any part of my collection. Anything else is like, if somebody really, really, really needs it, and it's the only one he can find, I'm happy to work with them on something.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You see that a lot more. Speaking of like games having like no value there, it basically seems like when when it's like two cycles old, like 2 generations ago.
Absolutely.
That's when like right now, like 360 stuff is getting like just ridiculous, like throwaway prices and PS3 and Wii games. So so right now nobody cares about it. Yeah, like you might as well just load up on that stuff because
absolutely, you never know.
It's dirt cheap, and one of these days that stuff will be, PS2 most games are still like rock bottom prices, and there's just
it's such a
select few
solid
that
cross.
Yes, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that with any system, whether it be like the Sega Saturn or especially one of my favorites, TurboGrafx 16. I mean, there are games that are $5, and there's a whole lot of them that are like, oh, maybe I'll pick this up if I see it. You find it at $70, and you're like, oh, where'd that come from?
$5,000 if you want Magical Chase.
Well,
Yeah, it's a real shame because I've always wanted a Sega Saturn, but I always say like I'd have to get a good like starting bundle because that's a pricey burger to bite into.
It is. It certainly can be. But it's
anything I want. Especially I love RPGs, and that's my problem. That's my problem. So it is a problem. I want my RPGs, and everyone wants RPGs. So RPGs
exactly.
$100
harder to find, and you got to pay a premium for those for sure.
But who has the time to play them all?
I wish I just loved sports games because I'd have the best sports games. There's a select few. There's a select few I have, but
I know those select few. That's again going back to the you want a Sega Genesis, but you want to have Mutant League Football or something like that. That's it's not super priced. Yeah, they're $40 or whatever it is now, but you're always going to get those no matter what thing you look for.
Yeah, exactly. That's especially with the Genesis. The Genesis is like 60% sports games.
Oh yeah.
Every time you get a Sega bundle, you're going to get like mostly sports games and then a couple good titles in there.
Fortunately, you can use it to your advantage because some of the NCAA games go for a lot of money, and a lot of people don't know this, especially when it comes to like maybe PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, because there was such a low print run, or maybe someone on that roster back in college is now like superstar playing for the major leagues, but this was their game back then. So every once in a while, whenever you see a bunch of sports games, look out for those NCAA games because
the 14 I think on the. Isn't it NCAA Football 14? I think it's like $150.
Oh yeah,
right now.
Absolutely, and it blends in with everything else. You'd never know it.
You buy the game that even if you don't want it, and flip it and get 30 games you do want.
Sure,
for sure.
Yeah. So while we're talking about some older games, let's jump into the retro game highlight. Last time Chris was a guest. Chris, the old ass retro gamer. Everybody should check him out if you haven't. He talked about Tron 2.0 for the Xbox, which sounded pretty cool. Did. And this time,
Tron.
Yeah, for sure. And this time with John joining us, we thought it'd be fun for him to do a retro game highlight. So you agreed to do that. So what game would you like to talk about?
And I just played it recently, and we were going back to the games that have value to them. It's EVO, Search for Eden for the Super Nintendo. I absolutely love this game. Loved it back in the day. I rented it not when it first came out, but I remember renting it and really enjoying it. And then that was about it. And it wasn't until literally, maybe a few years ago. It was probably right around that 2013, 2014. It's like, I remember renting that game. I should find it again. And then you go to find it now, $200. Oh my god!
It always seemed like a really strange diamond in the rough kind of game too, because it just seemed so different than anything else that they had. It kind of reminded, like I've never played it myself, but it always kind of reminded me of like Seaman for the Dreamcast. Because
it's not that weird.
Yeah, isn't it about? It's kind of about like raising some kind of. I don't know. I'll let you explain it since you beat it.
Well, it plays more like a. It's an. I want to say action RPG platformer, but that sounds like too many genres mixed into one.
No,
although this game totally is.
Sense. Yeah.
So it plays like an action platformer, but kind of like Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link, where you gain your experience points and then you can upgrade your character to the benefit of whatever area you're playing at the moment. When you first start out, you're a fish. You're not even a fish yet. You're just like almost like an eel, like a tadpole.
Okay, that's probably where I get the Seaman thing from. Cause
Yeah. So whenever you see pictures when it first starts,
beginning. Yeah, I've only played the very beginning of it.
Yeah. So once you defeat more enemies and gain more experience points, then you get to choose how you evolve yourself. So you can give yourself a dorsal fin, you can give yourself a horned nose, or you can give yourself like a swordfish nose. Different kind of flippers. Different things make you maybe swim faster or bite harder or teeth. Do certain things along the way. So you build up you give yourself like a horned body or a shelled body to give yourself more more health that you can take advantage of.
I would probably always pick the spikier options just to be more metal.
More metal.
So metal.
No, but doing something like that absolutely works to your advantage in this game. It's for the Super Nintendo. It's from Enix, and it goes through different ages. So as you start as a fish, you defeat the final boss for that level, and then you jump out of the water, and now you're an amphibian. And then maybe the next level. What was the next? The next level I think was then you become like a lizard. You go through like the dinosaur era, or you go through the Cambrian era, the Jurassic era. So you turn yourself into a dinosaur. But then what kind of dinosaur do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy on 4 legs with the shelled body, or you can turn yourself into basically a T-Rex with giant chomping powers and a longer neck. So I like the fact that it gives you the option of how you want to evolve depending on how you want to play the game. And I think it's a wonderful experience, and you can beat the game several different ways. The ending of the game, obviously, is you eventually become human, but you don't have to become human if you don't want to. I've beaten it. I've beaten the game as a human. I've beaten the game because it's like you turn into like a primate almost, and you have to do a certain technique. It's like you have to have primate, then evolve yourself. But you can do that, or you can beat the game as or as not a human. Right now I'm currently playing it through. I've never beaten the game as there's a certain thing you can do to give yourself wings so you can fly, and I'm trying to beat the game that way. But my method of killing most bosses are if you have 4 legs, you can do like a hind kick, like a mule kick. Mm-hmm. So I just spam them with a mule kick in the corner until they die. But when you're flying, you can't do that, unfortunately. So you got to use your beak. You can fly and kind of crash into them. And, it's a little bit more of a challenge for me. But I'm currently playing it through that way. Nice. And it's a lot of fun. I just love the creativity that you can evolve yourself however you want to evolve yourself.
Yeah, it sounds super customizable. So a lot of replay value to it.
Yeah, so, if you want to play the physical version, unfortunately, you're gonna, like I said, pay a premium. It's $150, $200. I remember one night I couldn't neither confirm nor deny having a few drinks before that night. I was like, man, I gotta get this game back in my collection, and I found 2 offers on eBay. Both of them were going for $200. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, or best offer. Yeah. Or best offer. I'll say $150 on both of them. Woke up the next morning and both of them accepted. So I ended up buying 2. Hey, buddy, I told you, I promise. Ended up buying both of them because I owned up to it. But then I used that other one to trade it for for a game worth about the same value that I also didn't have that I was also looking for. So it turned out all right.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, it worked out in the end for me anyway.
Yeah,
it's been intriguing me for quite a while, but like I said, I'm patient. I've just kind of waited around, but since I got my Super Nintendo Mini hacked, I added it on there, and that's when I checked it out a little bit. But yeah, I'll still hold out, and maybe I'll find it one of these days. But maybe I'll jump ahead and play it on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Yeah, however you want to play it. I have no problems with emulators, or they have flash boards now. You can just program whatever game you want to play on them, just play it on a physical hardware. I do a lot of that too. So I think it's worth checking out.
Sure,
absolutely.
So I guess related to playing that recently, what else have you been up to? Any other games you've been playing recently? Kind of keeping your attention? Any videos you put out?
Well, I try to. I've been putting out about a video a day, only because a lot of my videos I do are they're quick edits, they're easy edits. That's about what I have time for. Mostly going through. If it's not like a new breakfast cereal that I'm reviewing or something like that, there's always new games coming out for the Switch, and I've been enjoying a lot of that. I love the fact that they finally released Versus Balloon Fight. They have the Nintendo Switch has the arcade archive. So you can play the arcade version of Donkey Kong, not the NES Donkey Kong, the arcade Donkey Kong, or Donkey Kong Jr., or what was another game that came out kind of recently? Mat Mania came out, which is an old, wrestling arcade
game. Yeah, I actually played a bit of that on my Plug and Play arcade stuff.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Absolutely. I'm a huge Balloon Fight fan, and they finally came out with Versus Balloon Fight, which if you've only played Balloon Fight for the NES but never at the arcade, it scrolls vertically. So you just keep flying up and up and up, and there's more platforms and more enemies and everything. So it gives you more of a battlefield to play as. So I mean, not that I'm playing that nonstop, but it's just so cool to see it on there.
Yeah, cool. I think that's on my stick too, but I haven't checked it out yet. And I'll have to
nice.
Figure it out. It's really cool. It's the same one that John Hancock, I think he did a little review on it just a little while. It was one of the deciding factors of me getting that specific one.
Oh, perfect.
It's one of those 1,299 in one kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
and it's actually more like 1,100 because, there's like 80 versions of like Street Fighter.
Oh, sure. Like the Pandora stick or whatever.
Yeah, Pandora 5S is the one I got. I want to get
that might be the same one I have too.
The one you can add ROMs onto, I'd like to get at some point. But yeah, right now I'm happy with that. A lot of the games I beat last year were pretty much from that. Not a lot of arcade games around here to play anymore, so I'm happy to have
I know
like
it. That's rough. Especially, growing up in the arcade too, it's nice to go back and it's like I don't need to borrow quarters from mom or anything like that. I can actually just, play through the game and, see what happens after the third level or something,
They're kind of getting a little resurgence right now. Arcades. There's a few in the Midwest called Up Down. The barcades. Moderate size. They tend to have more like of the 90s arcade games. They'll have some of the older.
Nice.
80s, and then they'll have like a few new ones like Killer Queen or
nice.
There's a 4-player Pac-Man.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones. We actually checked out the one in Minneapolis about a year ago now.
Yeah, it's really cool.
When I came down to visit you, and I'm still kind of mad you wouldn't play Moonwalker with me, but whatever. I'll let it go one of these days.
Yeah, I think they have an Up Down. They have one in Iowa now, and I heard there was going to be another one, maybe in Chicago. I think it was Chicago. I don't think it was Milwaukee.
Hopefully Milwaukee, because Chicago's got the Galloping Ghost, don't they?
Yeah.
That's some stiff competition.
Not that they have the monopoly on it, but it would be nice to, that's kind of what they're known for, right?
It's impressive, yeah. And they bring actually Galloping Ghost supplies a lot of the arcade games that are at the Midwest Gaming Classic. They bring a lot. Like they brought the Beavis and Butthead arcade game that was like a prototype.
Oh, wow. It was,
last year. Yeah, and then they,
I'm
not sure if it was them, but somebody brought the Predator pinball table that basically wasn't licensed, so they got sued and were never able to put it into full production.
Oh,
that was pretty metal. I hope they bring that again because I didn't get to play it very much. But
it's one of the things I love about video game conventions is you see things like that. They had a nobody knew this arcade game existed or was even known to have any of them left until a certain time. And if you want to see it for yourself and play it for yourself for free, it's going to be right here at Midwest Gaming Classic. Or there was one at the Game On Expo in Phoenix, Arizona last year.
Perfect.
Just love it. Oh yeah, huge arcade game fan for sure. And I think with those arcade bars, that's kind of the way to go. Kind of catering to a little bit of everyone. Sometimes they're family friendly. Sometimes it's just 21 and over, take it or leave it. But I like the fact that they have they have the older games in the corner. If they have Tapper, I'm on Tapper every single time. I love the game Tapper. Have to play at the arcade because it has the beer tap for the controller.
Not root beer. It's actual beer.
Well, I'll play root beer tapper all the same too. I don't know.
Yeah, they're both delicious.
If it's before noon, I'll play root beer tapper at least. But it's cool to see. I mean, and especially in the Seattle area. The Seattle area has several arcade bars. If you get a chance to check out a couple of them in like the Fremont district, which is a part of Seattle. And they'll have those older games, a bunch of pinball, but then they'll have games like Killer Queen that anybody can jump on. Or you could do games like the 4-player Pac-Man, which is always a fun one.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I'd like to head back out that way sometime soon. It was a lot of fun when we went to LA last year. It was super enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
Even with a little bit of a nightmare of our lodging situation, but
oh no,
it ended up being fun in the end.
Yeah.
Nice. Was that for E3?
Yeah, we went to E3. The place we booked to stay didn't exist when we got there. We booked it like 40 weeks ahead of time. We got there, and the address was just down the street from the thing, and it was just like basically like ritzy apartments. But they're like, no one does like a Airbnb or anything, so that's not that. And we showed them the picture, and we went through Booking.com, and they're like, "Oh yeah." So we were trying to get a hold of them frantically. We were just walking around with our luggage, and then we finally ended up staying at the Hotel Figueroa because it was the only place with any vacancy because it was crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's rough.
And then they called us the next morning, and they're like, "Oh yeah, obviously we'll give you your money back, and we'll cover your stay at this place that you found too. And if it's farther away and you need to cab it, we'll cover that too." We're like, "Oh, awesome!"
Oh, what
and
a
then
great,
yeah, it was great. And then we get back and they backpedaled on it hard. Like, "Oh no, we didn't say that." We're like, "You absolutely did," or else we would have tried to. We're like, "I don't even care. We're staying here for at least tonight. We'll figure something out tomorrow for like somewhere cheaper." But we were just like sweaty and like, just exhausted. So I was like, we walked through the E3 area while like trying to find someone to help us try and figure out what was going on. And I was like, I should be so stoked right now, but I can't even care. I'm in such a bad mood. I just want to get on the plane and go home.
I know. Can't even think about it.
I was like, this is the coolest thing. I've wanted to go to this since I was a kid. Right. I'm just like, damn it.
This last year was my first time there too.
Yeah, it killed the vibe. But then, like once we got to go, it got all that ironed out. It was a lot of fun. Then we went and it was for our 10-year wedding anniversary. So nice. we made a super. She surprised me with it. I was like, no one's gonna believe that it was your idea to go to E3. They're gonna be like, really, your 10th wedding anniversary? You dragged you to some stupid video game thing? But she.
I'm always doing that.
She's like, no, it was really my idea, and I know how bad you've wanted to go, and I was like, awesome. She's actually talking about going back again this year. I didn't think she enjoyed it that much, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah,
this will be a great year. This will be a really good year for E3 with the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox and even the Amico. I mean, this E3 is going to be weird.
Yeah, they had the Amico at the last one, but it was like a behind closed doors thing, so we didn't get to check it out. It was I was like, that's what I was saying. I was like, I'd like to go back again, but I was like, I'd hopefully like to get like some kind of media pass or something so I could actually check out some of the, because my preconceived notion of what like E3 was when you go to it was like totally different than when we went. Like I still enjoyed it a lot,
right? But
it was totally different. Like I thought we'd actually get to go like to the conferences when they were like. Announce stuff.
Oh, sure.
I was like, I don't get to do that. Okay. and then we went in the wrong entrance when we went because we went and it was like where that hallway was where all the like invite only and press stuff was.
Yeah.
So I was like, did I just buy tickets to like to be like the loser kid trying to get into the cool kid party? Because that's what it really feels like. So for like the first hour, I was like, we can't go in any of this stuff.
Right.
And then we went into like the main hall and I was like, okay, this is where it's cool. All right, this is cool.
Yeah. This is okay. Yeah.
yeah. But at
first especially once they opened it up to the public.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's only been, was it last year was only like the third year that they had it open to the public?
I think so, yeah, something like that. Last they've only been doing it for like 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was cool, but I was just like, it's a lot different, but it was cool in its own way. Like you just when you're expecting one thing and it's different, I was just like, I'd rather make a regular convention, honestly.
Sure. I mean, there's like the retro game conventions or game conventions, but even with things like PAX East, PAX South, PAX West every year, it's a lot like E3, where it's like, oh, here's all the stuff that's happening. But yes, if you have an invite or if you have an appointment, then by all means, then you might get the special behind the scenes hands on something or other. However, something like E3 was great for me especially because I was able to. I mean, I did have a couple of appointments set up, and the Amico was one of them.
Nice.
But I did have the. But all the other booths were there where they were like, hey, if you haven't, do you have an appointment? Do you have an appointment? So I'd go up to those booths and say, I don't, but I want one for next time. So here's my card, and I want your card, and I will let you know next year when the time comes. So we'll see what happens.
One, let me know.
Oh, always.
Yeah, because even when we would, like they had the Xbox experience or something, and I was like, oh, this would be cool. Maybe we could go to this because it looked like they were like there was tickets to go into it, and they're like, no, it's a special invite from Xbox. And I was like, damn, I got an Xbox world record and I still can't even get in. get into the Xbox
Yeah.
experience.
You know what? I didn't get an invite for that either. So
Yeah, I was like, damn.
no, I know.
No, but like I said, like now that I know more of like what it actually is, it like I definitely like to go again. But
Sure.
I'm not poo-pooing it anyway. It was still a great time. I'm glad I went. I mean,
Well,
I
and
got to meet
sometimes-
you there, so that was cool.
Well, that's totally.
That was one of my highlights.
Just walking around, looking for something to do. I think we were on our way to grab some food or something like that. But we were, I was happy to go. And then even things like, again, with E3 and with PAX and with all the other conventions too, especially kind of like bigger case scenarios like that where they actually have Xbox, Sony, Nintendo there. Yeah, it's fine to see. Like, I'm okay looking over shoulders. I'm okay with like, oh, the new Animal Crossing is coming out. Look over the shoulder. Okay, that looks like it. All right, I'll play when it comes. I'm going to play when it comes out anyway. Like, oh, you want to wait in line for 2 hours to play Luigi's Mansion 3? I'll just wait until I can play it all at once. I don't want to play for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I was like, oh man, I'm glad that Nintendo booth is in the middle of the floor because it's like a giant bug zapper and everyone's like flowing around that, and I can go and play all the other games I want to play pretty easily. Like anything else, so you just like walk up and there'd be maybe one other person playing it. Like one of the games I was most jazzed to try out was Trails of Cold Steel 3, and I was playing it in like 2 minutes, and anything else I was like Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion. I already know I'm buying them, so I'm good.
Well, and some people like going through because there's so much swag there too. So some people like going there because like, oh, now I have the official Luigi's Mansion 3 mag light that they have. Or maybe you go there and you always walk out of there with like 19 new T-shirts and stuff like that too. But if you find these indie developers, that's one of the reasons why I love the indie games. My favorite games of any expo I ever go to that I hands on and play and see are games I've never even heard of before that morning. It's like, oh hey, because the indie developers are like, I'm the developer of this game. Here, please play my game and tell me what you think. And some of the best games I've ever seen.
Those were a lot of fun.
Like when Scribblenauts first came out, no one was talking about Scribblenauts. And I was like, you're kidding me. I can literally type in the words, like Cthulhu robot, and it appears. I was like, oh my god, this is the best game ever.
Yeah, those are awesome. I got the Unmasked one as my favorite because it's got all the DC superheroes in it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, for sure.
That's the first one I played. It is a lot of fun. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I actually didn't end up getting a lot of shirts, even like the things that like I saw other people getting like shirts for playing like the Genesis Mini and stuff. I'm like, I played.
Oh, sure.
I was like, they were handing out shirts for that. I did. Damn.
They
must be invisible.
Well,
and I was trying to buy a Cyberpunk shirt. I was like, can I even buy a Cyberpunk? Because like everywhere we went, like everyone was wearing Cyberpunk shirts. I was like, damn, I want one of those shirts.
Yeah.
And I even asked the guy, I was like, can I buy one? Can one just go missing and I'll give you $20 for it? But he's like, man. I was like, they're gonna fire you. They're gonna be like, hey, wait, we gave away 400. We gave away 400 shirts. 401 are missing. Frank, you're fired, dude. You can't be selling shirts.
Yeah.
So,
I ran into. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if you know Adam Korlick or not. He does a bunch of stuff on YouTube and has a channel. And everything.
I know.
You know of him? Yeah, buddy of mine. But he was wearing the shirt that Sega was giving out for playing the Genesis Mini. It was a cool design. It was a blue color, and it had kind of like the history of the Sega consoles and everything on a shirt. I thought it looked really cool. He's like, oh yeah, you get one for playing the Genesis Mini, and the line's super short. It had like four people in line, so it's like, well, sure, I'll play it just for the shirt. I mean, I'm gonna buy one anyway. So I was out there, played it. I tested out a couple of things just to see what it would look like, or just to see what it did. I was happy with it. I'm like, okay, well, take this ticket, go up to the booth, and grab your free shirt. Perfect. So I go up there, and here's me. By the way, I'm 6'5" and 270, and I go up there, and they're like, oh, here's your large shirt. And I was like, oh, do you have a double XL? I wear a double XL. They're like, oh no, we only brought these. And I was like, you're at a video game convention and you don't have double XLs. You understand your audience, right?
Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, the ticket person must not have saw me because I was just sitting here playing for about 20 minutes, and I was like, all right, let's
oh, that's terrible. Oh, well.
And then I heard afterwards that they were going to shirts. So I was like, oh, maybe I just needed to be louder.
Yeah, I already played the shirt.
Enjoying this.
It's all right. No, it's a fun experience.
There was a lot of cool stuff there, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go back to E3 this year because it's a large, like you're talking about, staying downtown LA and all that. It is super expensive to get in there. I mean, not just for the ticket for E3, but then also to stay there, to eat there, to Uber back and forth and all that. Great time of my life, but I'm still kind of considering it, but I may bow out this year. So we'll see. There's a lot going on this year, but it's also like my other friends too that are that do YouTube videos. My RGT85 comes to mind. Sean Long. He was like, "Man, I'd love to go to E3, but I can't because if he's at E3, then he's not making videos to talk about what's happening at E3."
Oh, bring the laptop and a webcam and do them.
There are several rooms at E3 that allow for that. So the journalists can go in there, upload their pictures, do the article, post it immediately. But
just don't do it in the bathroom like Dr. Disrespect.
No, yeah, I was not a part of that either, but I certainly heard about it when I was there.
Yeah,
that's rough. Yeah.
Well, Jason, so besides E3, what have you been up to lately?
Lately, quite a lot of gaming.
Torturing Polykill podcast?
Yeah, absolutely torturing him with my hashtag just beat it's. Since the last one, I had put myself in that challenge where I was going to try and beat 100 games by the end of the year. And I ended up at 101. I wasn't keeping track on New Year's Eve, but the kids and I were playing arcade games pretty much all day. And it was a hell of a time. So I'm just going to rattle them off super fast. Because I believe I ended at 64 last time. So since the last one, I beat Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warriors, 64th Street, A Detective Story, Gunbird 1 and 2, Willow Arcade, Rambo for the PS3, which was awful, but I did it with the move, so it was slightly more tolerable, but still pretty bad. Air Duel, Violent Storm, House of the Dead 4, House of the Dead 3, X-Men Arcade, Crime City, Sengoku 1, 2, and 3, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, TMNT Arcade, that one actually a few times. My son is hooked on it. Metal Slug 2. What's that?
I was gonna say, if you beat X-Men Arcade with different characters, does that count as more than one game?
I wouldn't. Like some people.
I'm trying to help you out, man.
Yeah, some people counted it as when they beat the Resident Evil 2 remake, doing the both characters' stories. I was like, no, that's just beating the game.
Right.
It's the same story. All right, go ahead. Dude.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then we got Metal Slug 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and X. Jeez. Batman: The Enemy Within, the Telltale game. I really hope they do another season. It was a phenomenal game. And then speaking of phenomenal games, this wasn't, but it was actually better than I was expecting. Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn. For some reason, I got a pile of awesome games to play, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play some Shaq Fu. It was actually surprisingly entertaining, although the parts where it tries to be funny and have the pop culture references seem like they're about 10 years old. I don't know how long this game was in development, but it was a lot of the jokes missed the mark. The fun I had was like the actual gameplay. It played pretty smoothly. And there's a power-up where Shaq turns into Shactus, where it's a cactus costume, and he just shoots spikes. What? That was one of the coolest parts. And then there was a free DLC where you play as Obama and you're hunting down Kanye. And I was like, what the hell is going on? This is the actual game. Because that was the most entertaining part. It's like it seemed like a Shaft type story where he was basically Shaft. And he walked around with like guns and shit. It was off the wall crazy. But it was a free add-on, so I beat that too. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot more fun with this game than I was expecting. I got it for like $4 brand new, and I was like, whatever.
Nice.
Moving on, I beat Air Gallet, Avenging Spirit, Shock Troopers 2, Burning Fight, Captain Tomade, which is like I would say a shmup, but with like punching, so like a punch 'em up. It was weird. Yeah, he's got like two hands instead of projectiles. He like, I don't know. It was really cool. Sexy Parodius, which is a lot easier than the regular Parodius. I started normal Parodius and it just kicked my ass. Simpsons Arcade, Spin Master, Liquid Kids, which is actually a game I owned I owned an arcade cabinet of, but the screen was messed on it and I ended up stripping it out. Still have the board somewhere. And I got Mega Man Power Battle and Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters, which were basically like a boss rush arcade game for Mega Man. It was no real levels, more just fighting bosses. So it's more like a fighting game, but I don't know, kind of weird. And then Mercs for 101.
Nice. A lot of games.
Okay.
Now I feel how Polykill feels when they rattle off my beats.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't listen to Polykill podcast, great podcast. But if you use Twitter when you beat a game, if you do take a screenshot of like the end screen, do a little, share your thoughts on it. Hashtag just beat it. They might read your tweet on the podcast.
They might call you an asshole if you beat like 25 games in between episodes of theirs. They're like, please don't make me read 25 more game names next episode. I was like, sorry. I'll try to
think about who you'd affect.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much my gaming was hurting everyone. And then speaking of getting hurt, something disastrous almost happened to my game room the other day. I was adjusting one of my collection shelves. That is one of my like custom shelves. And just kind of moving it a bit, and it just about completely collapsed on me, spilling my NES, PS1, DS, 3DS, Dreamcast, and about half of my Super Nintendo and N64 games. But I was able to hold it and yell for my daughter Araya to come down, and I was just passing her stuff off it. So thankfully there was zero casualties. So I'm happy to report that was almost the worst thing ever.
Because that's like a couple thousand games or so.
Yeah, I would have had a meltdown. I would have had a mental breakdown. Yeah, my wife calls them Beauty and the Beast shelves. They're from the like about 4 inches above the floor to the ceiling. So that's a lot of games to fall. There was a little bit of a NES avalanche, but those were the closest to the ground. So thankfully, nothing happened there.
Nice.
But that's about all that's been happening with me.
Excellent.
Sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. What have you been up to?
So last time I think I mentioned I was at the end of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and I have since finished that. If anybody listening wants to hear further thoughts on that, listen to the last couple episodes because I already kind of talked about that a bunch.
Yeah, you were really close to the end. So
yeah, and then right around the time when I finished that, I finally got my PlayStation 4 copy of Limited Run's release for River City Girls, which I was dying to play. And
me too.
Jumped into that.
Such a fun game.
Oh, it's so good. And Kunio-kun series is a lot of fun, but this one just like I think the extra like effort on the pixel art and the humor and the soundtrack, just what a package.
Hell yeah. I'm going to pick mine up for me next time I come down, because any of the popular releases, I always throw you some bucks and get you to order me a copy too, because you're the magician of getting the limited run stuff with little effort. So
yeah, I've pretty much every release I've wanted, I've been able to get, but I just make myself available. I refresh the page right at launch, and I feel bad when I see people saying that they were there, they were trying to get the game, and they weren't able to get the game for like the really popular releases. It's always a bummer to hear that happens, but
yeah, that's why I always got you to get my back.
Yeah, but then I'll miss like the random like 3 a.m. collector's edition releases for whatever.
Code Vein?
Yeah, Code Vein.
Code Vein specifically. Really, they put it up at 3 a.m.
Resident Evil 3 remake. The link, like the actual listing wasn't available, but if you had a direct link, you could order it. So once I finally found out, it was sold out on the website, but I was able to go to GameStop and pre-order in store. So yeah,
oh, good.
That's not so bad.
But yeah, and then after River City Girls, another game that I recently received my limited run copy of was Celeste for the PS4.
Oh, wow.
And I think I got I have one more level, and then there's like like a true ending, like extra unlockable. Like as you play through the game, you collect these strawberries, and if you get so many, then you can get like further, Okay.
Right.
So I'm pretty close to the end. Loving the game. I was kind of skeptical because a lot of people were kind of comparing it with like Super Meat Boy kind of gameplay.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does
looks
have
pretty
that.
punishing. I've got it, but I haven't checked it out yet.
But it's I don't know. It's just something about how they handle it. It just feels so good. Like some of these levels, I died like 300 times, but when you die, it just immediately restarts you right, at the beginning of the screen.
It's not a load time, because the load time would be like, okay, F this game, I'm done.
Right.
It's kind of like how it made me think of Hotline Miami, where
you just keep going.
You just keep going. The music doesn't break, so it just kind of keeps you in the zone. Right. It would have been easier if I wasn't trying to get all the collectibles, and then there's also you can find cassette tapes that unlock what they call the B-side of levels, which is basically just a harder version of that level.
Right.
And I played through the first few of those, and then I was like, okay, do I need to do these B-sides to get like the true ending of the game? And I don't believe I do, so I'll probably go back to those later, because those were really, really hard. But it's definitely worth it. For anybody who thinks that they would be like they were like, oh no, I don't want to play that kind of gameplay, I'd say give it a chance. You'd be surprised, because it's all the other things that make it so good. The story is fantastic. The characters are interesting. They do some really neat things with the chat boxes and the character portraits. Just
right.
Didn't it win like Indie Game of the Year? 2018.
Yeah.
It was getting a ton of awards. I remember.
Totally.
That's why I don't really do
earned
digital games, but they did it was on like super cheap, I think, a couple months ago, and I ended up grabbing it and a couple other games, just ones that hadn't had a physical release at all, and I just haven't gotten around to checking it out yet. I think
a quick story.
Yeah.
About Celeste. And this is going to take me back to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo a couple of years ago. We usually go to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, a lot of great places to eat in the area. We go to a place called McMiniman's. It's an Irish bar. It's unique. It does not have Coke. It does not have Pepsi. It has RC Cola.
Okay.
and then it has local Oregon beer, and that tells you that tells you how Oregon it is, or Portland it is, because Portland is Portland, and it has like local beers and all that too. So oftentimes we'll go there because they can house a lot of us. So we'll be up there. Metal Jesus crew. We'll grab. Riff and Ricky from Pixel Game Squad, whoever's available, like, hey, we're all going here. If you want to come with us, come with us. So big old table, hanging out. It was myself, my friend, and across from me was this young lady who I didn't know. I knew everyone else at the other tables, or most of them anyway. But this young lady and her partner, and we're sitting there and we're chatting about nothing in particular, video games that we played, games we like, and whatever. And I was like, well, I kind of have a YouTube channel. That's why I'm here at the Portland Expo. So what's so how do you fit into this? Like, are you someone's friend or anything? And she's like, oh no, my name's Lena Rain. I did the soundtrack for Celeste.
Ooh.
So I'm sitting here just talking to her the whole time. I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't have a clue. And she's super nice and down to earth and sweet and everything. And then later on at the Video Game Awards, where Celeste won the soundtrack of the year. And there she was on stage. She's like, oh my god, I'm sitting here eating dinner with her the whole time. And again, I didn't know who she was at the time, because we're just hanging out like everyone else. There was no, as someone else put it once, when we go out to conventions, and you might see, and I have a YouTube channel that has 70 some odd thousand. There's Metal Jesus, who has half a billion or whatever he has and everything. But there's no like, or if you run into like Gerard the Completionist and all that at a convention, there's no hierarchy. We're all just people. We're all just fans. We're all just hanging out. And Lena Rain, the composer for Celeste, of the one of the best soundtracks of the current generation. It's like, oh my god, here's this person hanging out like everyone else. Doesn't want to be treated special. She's just a fan.
Yeah,
that's why I like too when you meet someone and they don't have like a rock star persona, like mentality. You're like, oh, okay, that was super not awesome. When you finally like someone you admire or look up to, and you're like, oh man, I like your videos. Yeah, I probably. Or
fortunately,
of course you do.
For the who doesn't?
They always say never meet your. They always say never meet your heroes, but fortunately, I've been pretty fortunate with the people I've met who I've looked up to as far as like YouTube channels or Twitch or anything.
Yeah.
I've been pretty fortunate.
Any bands I've met have always been cool. Usually too, nice. Like I've met Zach Wild and Dimebag.
Oh, nice.
A couple of my favorite guitar players. Like I love.
Oh my god, how awesome! Absolutely.
I met Dimebag and Vinny like right after a show, and he was the coolest. They were doing a signing when we were at the show, and they were like signing the new album or whatever,
Right.
And everyone's like, "Oh man, you gotta meet Dime. Like it's all you ever talk about. So you're gonna go to that signing." I was like, "Nah, man, Dime's cool. He'll just come hang out afterwards." He just stood outside. I'm like, he'll hang out. He's cool. And they're like, "Dude, I'm not listening to you cry the whole way home when you could have met Dime and then you just didn't." I was like, "No, dude, he's fucking cool. He'll come hang out." They're like, "All right, whatever, man. Like literally, don't say anything to me when you don't meet him. I don't even be grumpy with me."
Sure.
And then he came out and he hung out, and we were talking to him, and then he went on the bus and he sent out 2 shots, and that was for me and my buddy. Those guys are fucking cool, man. So those guys drink. So
oh man,
I still
what experience!
It's just a little plastic, solo cup, but I still got
Sure,
it. It's like my holy grail.
No, it would be.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, exactly. Like meeting your heroes sometimes actually does turn out. So I definitely am glad I didn't take that advice from people.
Right. That's so awesome.
Sure. Yeah, so I think we could jump into a couple kind of news-ish topics real quick. Not a whole lot to talk about this episode, but I think that's fine. I want to give a shout out.
Time of year, right after Christmas.
Totally. So I want to give a shout out to the Cartridge Club Awards 2019.
Yay!
They just happened earlier this week. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's a lot of fun. They basically talk about the club voted top 10 games of the year. They announced the games of the month for the next few months for the Cartridge Club and the Cartridge Club Portable. And they elected, there is a vote for the best content creator of the club and the best podcast affiliated with the club. So
We
it's
were
a lot of fun.
nominated, but it was still cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of much better podcasts than us that were on there.
Stiff competition, huh?
It would have been stiff competition. Yeah.
It's all right.
I am not jealous one bit by the winner because they deserved it.
No, they were awesome, and it's the one we've shouted out a couple times this episode. Actually.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh shit!
Mild
Mild spoilers.
Real quick, I just wanted to, as I like to mention, there's a few really great game documentary channels. There's one called Gamers, GVMERS. That's kind of confusing, but it's Gamers.
It's like an upside down A.
Yeah. They
Inverted A-hammers.
they recently released their Grand Theft Auto documentary, which is great.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. I saw you post it. I just haven't had a chance to.
I love everything they do. Them and No Clip.
Yeah, you've turned me on to both
fantastic.
of those. They're pretty choice.
Best in the biz when it comes to game documentaries. Some of them.
Sweet. Speaking of good viewing, how about that Witcher?
Excellent.
Netflix.
Everyone's talking about Witcher, man. I think they were confused. At first, they're like, can you do it proper, though? I mean, will it be true? Like, here's a guy who played Superman. Does he care? It turns out Henry Cavill, what's his name?
Cavill,
yeah. Huge Witcher fan. He's doing it because he's a fan. So he's just like, oh, man, this is, dream come true for him, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, he went out of his way. You can tell. Like, he goes out of his way to try and sound like Geralt from the games. And at first, when they showed him off, it's just like when they show off anyone who's going to be a superhero, right? Or the Joker, mostly.
Yeah.
People pick on the Joker and Batman the most, it seems like.
Oh, wearing the suit, just like, haha, I get it.
You're
Whatever.
like, that
but,
guy
we've seen it in
can't.
action.
Yeah, like, that guy can't play a Joker. Like, look what happened with Heath Ledger. But then also, look what happened with Jared Leto.
Yeah, well,
sometimes everyone's right. Sometimes everyone's right.
Right.
But yeah, Cavill, they were like, oh man, they should have got like Mads Mikkelsen to play him because Mads Mikkelsen just looks like him so much. But he spot on, man, like excellent. Sounded like carried himself exactly like Geralt. And he said, I saw an article where it said he'd beaten The Witcher like 3 or 4 times, Witcher 3. So that's not a small feat. I keep seeing this thing shared around that he'd prefer to stay home and game than to go out, and I'm like, I'm with you there, brother.
Fan in our book.
Yeah, I'd say for like the Netflix originals, like I'm not as into a lot of those shows as a lot of people are. I mean, and of course, like Stranger Things was great, and
Sure.
they got some shows, but this is definitely like this is flagship quality, I think.
Yeah, well, as far as their gaming related series, they're nailing it. Just like look at Castlevania. Also,
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Oh,
yeah, they should
really think
have they
about
should
that.
have produced that new Doom movie instead of just putting it on Netflix. Because if
wouldn't that be
you
great?
haven't watched it, please don't. Save yourself the time. I bought it because I do kind of a
Oh my.
shitty movie night, terrible, awful, shitty movie night. I call it with some buddies in town here. Where we just,
Okay.
we'll watch those like rip-off movies like Tomb Invader, that's obviously trying to be Tomb Raider. And,
Transmorphers.
yeah, all those kind of movies. And then when I saw the new Doom, and I'm like, I know it's not going to be good. So I bought it because it was pretty cheap at Walmart. And then, even though it was cheap, I still felt like I got ripped off. Because then 2 days after we watched it, Netflix put it on, and I'm like, of course they would. But, at least I got both Doom movies on Blu-ray now.
Right.
And it's the
Sure.
Rock one is definitely better. Neither of them are very close to the game. There's about 45 seconds
say,
of
and that's saying
game.
something.
Like, yeah, like I actually think the first probably half an hour of it, I would say, is closer to like they could CGI stars onto the people's like space marine armor, and it could have been a low budget Resident Evil adaptation. So yeah, it was really not Doomish even. So disappointed, even though I wasn't expecting really anything.
Yeah.
So I guess it was less than nothing.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And The Witcher has been, before they even released it, they announced that it had been greenlit for a second season. So I
Nice.
believe they're starting production on that, like,
Oh.
soon or
It's like
something.
the expansion quest.
Yeah.
The
Well,
DLC.
I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, oh yeah, well, if you don't play the games, you don't know what's going on. Well, they were books first.
Yeah.
So-
And I
Yeah.
never
Like,
played
and
the
my wife,
games.
yeah,
I never
my
read
wife
the books.
never played the games, and she followed it just fine. I'm like, if you just kind of keep, because you kind of like time jumps a little bit, like like you'd be like, oh, this must be from before,
Yeah.
and I was able to follow it, and it doesn't do that a lot in the game. So it's just like, no, you just need to kind of be paying attention. You're like, oh yeah, that person's. This is obviously from before because this happened to that person or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to follow. I think it's just from people who are on their phone and then like looking up and like, what the hell is going on now?
Right.
So as long as you pay attention, I think it's masterfully told. So
Yeah.
that's not even just from coming from. I have played the games and I'm a big fan. I hope it keeps going for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't opt to do just a movie because video games don't make good movies because there's so much lore and story to tell that they're made for a series. That's why a lot of these video game movies fail, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Some are awesome, but more often than not, they're crap because they try to squeeze a 40, 50-hour game into a 2-hour movie.
Yes.
So you're not gonna satisfy really anyone with that.
Yeah.
Not once.
So then, John, you had mentioned some pretty interesting CES news.
I did, and CES is happening this week. It's the Consumer Electronics Show, and it usually shows new technology, not just video games. It usually shows new technology like, oh, you have the washer and dryer, and now here's the folder. You put your clothes in the machine, and it folds the. This was a real thing last year. I don't
Yeah,
know if they
I saw
actually
that.
came out with it or not.
Go
Oh,
on,
man.
I didn't see
I
this.
was like, please, yeah. They actually made a device where you feed your shirt through, and it would fold them for you. I thought it was pretty
Oh,
neat. So,
I hope this year they have the put awayer. That's my problem. I need a McDonald's commercial where the clothes dance into the closet and hang themselves up.
Absolutely. Can you do that, please? Can I just put my my retro controllers into the machine? It wraps the cords for me properly without bending the cord. That's what I need.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it shows new cars and new just a little bit of everything. But they also have some video game stuff. And our friends at One Up Game, or not One Up Games, Arcade One Up. They do the 3/4. They say it's 3/4 size. It's really about half size, but when you add the riser, it turns 3/4 size.
Yeah, that's cheating.
They had it works. It works for them, I suppose. They introduced a few of them last year. They introduced a couple of them. They introduced one of them at E3 this past year. But at the CES, they introduced like it looked like 4 or so new machines coming out. And I'm interested in, I think, just about all of them. One of them is the Burger Time cabinet, which features 2 joysticks. It's showcases Burger Time. It has the Peter Pepper is his name on the side of the cab, because the Burger Time arcade cabinet is a full-size him, but custom cut out to his silhouette. But also, because the 2 joysticks will also feature games like Karate Champ, for instance.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be in there too. But I think the one that a lot of people are looking forward to is NBA Jam, which looks like it features not only like 4 players simultaneous for NBA Jam, but also like it goes online. So maybe like a online scoreboard or reader board. And I don't know if you can play it online with versus other people. I'm not exactly sure.
Or even if you could LAN party with it, that'd be cool. If you could just have 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, it already features 4 joysticks to begin with. Yeah. And NBA Jam is only a 2-on-2 as in the first place, but it would be nice if you could play it online. But I think it's just for like the online scoreboard,
leaderboard and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, they'll get the leaderboard going on. They're releasing one from Sega, which I'm purely interested in. It's again 4 controllers on this thing, but it will feature Altered Beast, it's Golden Axe themed. So it's going to be Golden Axe.
Return of Death Adder, right?
Yeah, Return of Death Adder, or Revenge of Death Adder. So you got Golden Axe, but it's also going to feature Altered Beast, Shinobi, and then Wrestle War, which is interesting. Yes. I like Wrestle War. I mean, it was a great arcade game for its time. I'm a little bummed with the 4 joysticks and the fact that it's Sega that they didn't include Quartet, because Quartet was one of my favorite arcade games. And it's a 4-player arcade game, but not on there this time. That's okay, though. But then along with Zen Studios, and I'm purely interested in this for sure, is they're releasing, like they have Arcade 1-Up cabinets. They're also going to do the Arcade 1-Up pinball machine. So it's a 3/4 size pinball machine. There's going to be 2 of them that they're going to launch with. As working with Zen Studios, they're working with both a Star Wars themed one as well as Attack from Mars. If you're not familiar with it, it's not proper pinball. It's video pinball.
Video pinball? Okay, I was going to ask if it was the LED screen one.
It's going to be an LED screen, but it'll still be shaped like a pinball machine. It has the 2 buttons on the side. However, if you're thinking the same way I would have been, like, oh man, pinball, it's not the same. It's going to look 2D. It's flat. Like Zen Studios, there's a Zen Studios pinball game for the Switch. There's Zen Studios games for not just for PC, but also like there's a one in VR, VR FX2 or whatever, or Pinball FX2 is in VR for the PlayStation VR. They do pinball right. Like mechanics are perfect. Everything is beautiful. You can actually almost feel the weight of the ball depending on how you play pinball. I'm a huge pinball fanatic, and
so
Zen Studios
feedback and stuff.
I don't know if there's going to be on the arcade cabinet. I don't know if you can push it a certain way, or if it'll tilt if you push it too much. I hope it does. I absolutely hope that it has some kind of weight sensor in it.
Cool when you hit the buttons.
Oh, absolutely.
The authenticity.
But Zen Studios 100% knows how to do video pinball very well. And the fact that there's a Star Wars themed one, which is going to be great. Attack from Mars is one of the pinball tables on the one that you can play for PSVR, and as well as Oculus Quest. They have VR pinball on that too, which is great if you do VR pinball, because it looks like you're standing in front of the cabinet here. Looking forward to see how this is going to go. I want to see it for myself. I did speak to. I shouldn't say I have a friend of VR Studios. I have a buddy who I've known for a while who works for Zen Studios. I actually met him because he did a blog in college and reached out to me when I first started my YouTube channel. I was like, hey, can I interview you for my thing? But I always say yes to everything. So now he works at Zen Studios. He's like, hey, remember the time that you helped me out really big? Well, I'm going to help you out too. Come to E3. But they had a Zen Studios full-sized video pinball cabinet. So looking at that, it looked beautiful. So hopefully, if this is a 3/4 size one, I'm very, very, especially in the Star Wars one, I'm extremely interested to see what Arcade 1-Up will do for their pinball machine.
Absolutely. Kind of like what we were mentioning earlier, I really hope that they do a light gun cabinet, because that's where they get me, because that's what I want.
I was going to say, this is not official yet, so this might be breaking news. They are doing a Big Buck Hunter light gun. It's only Big Buck Hunter so far. Hopefully, it'll open the doors for. Fingers crossed. I would love to see an Operation Wolf or like a T2 or a Revolution X. You could put that on the same cabinet because it's the same kind of machine gun. Yeah, Big Buck Hunter's in the right direction. You can't do it. As we all know, especially you and your audience, you can't do light gun on an LCD. Got to use the CRT. So I don't know how they're going to do it with this. But there is photographic proof and evidence along with all the other new cabinets. I don't think they've announced it yet. They might do it over the weekend. I don't know, or maybe by who knows. But yeah, there is definitely a big bug. I'm looking at the picture of it right now. The light guns look pretty cheesy. I'll be honest with you. However, if it works, it works, and man, it's a step in the right direction. My next hope for Arcade 1-Up is they'll do something with steering wheels, whether it be like I have an Iron Man Students Off-Road or something.
Best of both worlds and go with Lucky and Wild, which I would love.
Oh man, the driving and the guns. Drive-by shooting.
Yes.
Love it.
Speaking of T2, I got lucky and finally snagged my my white whale. I've always wanted the Terminator 2 arcade cabin. About 2 months ago, I found someone local who was selling one that was like a personally owned one. It wasn't like sitting in a bar for 20 years. So
oh, nice.
That was like the coolest thing I picked up. So far I've got the actual Street Fighter 2 machine that I used to play at the bowling alley when I was a kid. I snagged that up about 3 years ago, and then Terminator. But Terminator wouldn't fit into my basement, and it bummed me out so hard. So it's in the garage. So it's the start of my garage arcade. I guess I'll move Street Fighter out there so it has a friend. But yeah, that was the coolest thing I picked up this year, definitely.
Nice.
So also from CES, I guess I see Alienware is trying to do their own version of the Switch too. Did you see that?
They sure are. I did, yeah. Ain't that something? Because they don't know the copyright on that.
Yeah. Well, didn't someone try to sue Nintendo over that?
They did.
They had something similar. So
yeah, there was like a cell phone peripheral or something. I think.
Right.
So, what was it?
Yeah. Interesting stuff coming up.
Alienware knows what they're doing with that kind of stuff, though. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. This is also a trade show. I mean, this is a here's what we got, but sometimes some of these things never make it to the store shelves. I remember several years ago, Hyperkin came out with their version of a Game Boy player. You put Game Boy games in.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But it never came to fruition because it couldn't. However, Hyperkin is doing. I mean, this was announced this morning. Hyperkin is doing their own plug-in Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. You can plug it into your TV like the Retron 5 without the 5. It's just the Game Boy port, and probably. But they're also, I'm sure they're updating, so it's not going to be, whatever emulated software they're using, or emulated hardware rather, that they're using to run Game Boy games before on the Retron 5. It's going to be updated and refreshed and spectacular, I'm sure. Well, I'm curious about it. We'll find out when it comes time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want something I can play Game Gear on without having to buy a whole new, like the Poly Mega or the, what's the one that Chris has? His Game Freak?
Oh, the Retro Freak?
I want something I can just play my Game Gear. Because I got 2 Game Gears, and I was like, man, I got to get some games for these. And I loaded up, I bought probably like 20 games. And that's how I found out that neither of my Game Gears work. I'm damn it. I got like a lot. I went a little bit wild and got like some games I really wanted. And I'm like, oh, cool. So now they're just on display.
I'm always curious about these, what they call them clone systems. I'm always curious about, but we have plenty that do Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis. I'm just waiting for the first person to come up with one that does like Nintendo DS and Nintendo 3DS. I can play those on a screen and not on a smaller handheld screen.
Definitely, that's something I'd look forward to also. And something that could do the Game Gear. Because I know I think the Poly Mega and the Game Freak both have a certain attachment, but that's a couple $100 where I could probably just get my Game Gears recapped for like $50.
Yeah, well, Retro Circuits has recapping sets they can purchase if you're curious.
Yeah, I've seen some. Yeah, I've seen little kits like that. So I might end up just.
But you have to do it yourself, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to be lazy and play video games and end up
the Poly Mega, I was pretty impressed with the Poly Mega when I saw that at E3. Curious to see what it's going to be like when it actually comes to what you see on the show floor and what you see in your living room might be two different things, and we learned that from At Games.
Yeah, and Aliens Colonial Marines.
Yeah, so we will see, but I'm curious. I'm very curious about it.
Their light gun didn't look crappy though. It looked pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty streamlined.
So maybe they're working with Arcade 1-Up or something. Maybe they got to talking on the show floor.
I hope so.
So it's hoping a lot of cool stuff coming out. What other things are you guys looking forward to? Speaking of things coming out this year,
for 2020.
Yeah, some big games events.
I mean, we got the obvious stuff. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Last of Us 2 and Cyberpunk and Doom.
Oh yeah. Yep. Animal Crossing for me. I'm curious about Avengers. We saw a quick blip about Avengers, and I'm curious to see what the final's going to look like. But we'll see.
Me too. I love my superheroes, so I can't wait.
I'm looking for that Intellivision Amico. I got a quick glimpse of it at E3. Behind closed doors. Under friend DA, not NDA. I didn't have to sign anything, but he's like, well, since we're friends here, and I'm waiting for him to do all the announcements. But he's done a lot of announcements already, Tommy Tallarico, and there's still a few things that I saw behind closed doors that he hasn't shown yet. But it was also so early, But if it's leading up to what I played and going to be better than that, that's I'll be a day one buyer on that anyway, just because it's like something I can play with my kids at home.
It looks. I'm a big fan of couch co-op for sure, especially with.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm looking forward to. I might hold out till Earthworm Jim comes out, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, at that time, maybe there'll be an Earthworm Jim edition. I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that. So
that would be cool.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot of indie stuff I'm looking forward to. Of course, if anybody knows anything about me, like I am dying to play Shantae and the Seven Sirens, which is a spring release this year, available for. I'm assuming they're going to do wide platform release on that. We got other stuff like I've been following this game for a while called Carrion, where you play like.
Oh right.
You play
that's from Devolver.
Yeah, you play like a creature that just like absorbs, like you absorb your enemies, and it's like
the scientists.
Yeah,
right. You're like a lab experiment gone wrong.
Yeah, that looks pretty wild.
Totally.
I just had another one too, and I forgot. Oh, Axiom Verge 2. I don't know if that's going to be up this year.
Oh, right.
That might be more like next year, but they just kind of announced that was in development. But either way, that is on my radar, hardcore.
Cool. I'm a huge Psychonauts fan, so Psychonauts 2 is coming out. I don't know how it's going to play or anything like that, but
that's exactly what I was just going to say.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No. We can share the thunder. We can.
All right.
The more hype for Psychonauts 2, the better. Sorry.
Go ahead. You first.
I said that was one of my favorite parts of E3 was going to watch Jack Black and Tim Schafer talk about that. Jeff Keighley kind of hosted them. They did a little panel.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, then they did the Jablinski games live, like right in a row. So we just basically went and watched Jack Black for 2 hours.
Okay.
And it was the day of our anniversary, so my wife was super stoked because we love Jack Black. Like Pick of Destiny is one of our go-to movies.
I love it.
And they kind of showcased like his part in that because he's in that, and they were talking about how he was in like Brutal Legend and all that.
Sure.
And that made me ultra hyped. That's one of the only shirts I bought at E3 was my Psychonauts 2 one.
Yes.
And Tim actually sold it to me, so that was cool.
Oh, even better. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I don't know when there's a release date or anything. But one of the games I played, this is going back to E3 again. Sorry to keep bringing it up. Is a game called I can't even remember what it's called. I think it's called Phantom Covert Ops. It's a pretty generic name.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I played it for it's for the Oculus Quest, and you have to. The best way I can describe it is Metal Gear Solid in a canoe, or in a kayak rather. So I mean the entire game takes place in a kayak. So you have to use your controllers basically to row your kayak through tall grass, up against buildings. You see enemies. Well, you can pull out your guns that you have, loaded to your side. You pull out your guns, snipe them off, shoot them off, whatever. But you never leave your kayak. You're in the kayak the entire time. So then you have to stealthily, paddle some more and go down a canal. You can go one way where it's going to be safer, but the other way might be a little harder, but give you quicker access to the building or something like that. I just thought it was just a funny experience. I love looking for those new experiences. Like
Sure.
going back to Scribblenauts. I just love going back to the scenes. Like I would have never thought about this, but now this is the coolest thing ever. So it's like Metal Gear Solid, but you're in a kayak the entire time, and I'm looking forward to that.
Sweet.
Yeah, you don't want to just be doing the same things the whole time. So more things that push the envelope and get creative or
Sure.
Another kind of VR. I don't know how I'm gonna get this game because I don't have any PC VR systems, but Half-Life Alyx looks pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of hype behind that one.
Yeah.
Well, you got some friends who got that stuff, so maybe you can.
There we go.
Do that.
Yeah, I only have a Quest.
Oh yeah. I was hoping to win that one they had up for but I knew the chances were slim. But where you take the pictures with their photo ops and then you hashtag them on Twitter and then you could win in a quest. I was like, that'd be neat.
Oh, sure. Yeah, just in case, you never know. But also, because it's Half-Life, it's from Valve, so it's probably going to be... It may be a Valve exclusive for their... the Valve... The Steam VR. It may be a Steam VR exclusive, but
probably.
We'll see. I don't know.
Because then, they'll outsell... Yeah, they'll outsell everything just by having that come to it. Yeah. Because people are so starved for a new Half-Life all these years. What's it been, 12 years? 12 years since?
Yes.
Good Lord.
2008.
I'm looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima finally coming out this year. I've been looking forward to that since they announced it 2 E3s ago.
Oh my.
Was it at E3 or was it at Video Game Awards announcement?
I think that was Video Game Awards.
Yeah, that was Video Game Awards. But I think it's going to be more of what I was kind of hoping for out of Sekiro. I wanted something more of like a Tenchu feel to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that Ghost of Tsushima will fill that void for me.
It's probably not coming out this year. I love Tenchu. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So much Tenchu.
Bring back Tenchu.
Got plenty of love on this podcast, that's for sure.
And From Software owns it, so like when I saw Sekiro, I was like, maybe this is gonna be like Tenchu.
It's going to be the Tenchu, the spiritual sequel that they always talk about. But it's like the person who grew up loving Tenchu, but now they're the ones making games. It's like, well, same company, let's make it happen. Would love that. I don't think it's going to come out this year. It may not even be announced. I don't know, but I'm sure AEW. I'm a huge wrestling fan too, and I'm sure AEW Wrestling is working on a video game, and they're heavily teasing. They're heavily teasing it's going to use the Aki engine, which was the same thing that ran WCW NWO Revenge, No Mercy.
No Mercy.
So if it's so close to anything like that, man, I'm going to be. I mean, pardon the pun. I'm going to be all in. Oh yeah.
I will lose my mind. I don't think I need to tell people how much I love No Mercy when I did the YouTuber Battle Royale using No Mercy. It was just
I saw that. I watched that.
It was an excuse. It was an excuse just to play a bunch of No Mercy, basically.
I loved it. I know. That I didn't win, but it's okay.
That was quite. Oh man, I thought Reggie was going to take it, but Saru took him out right at the end there.
It's all right. He's a buddy of mine. I'll take it. I can see.
When I do, well, Saru said, I'll be in it, but I get only if I get to take on Reggie. And I'm like, it's going to be randomized, but it ended up being exactly what he got. So he was pretty happy. So if I do a rematch, I'll have to put them in a cage match for a grudge match or something.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't know about this, but I'm very stoked for that. That's my most hyped game now.
Awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that retro wrestling game that they're working on too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Retromania Wrestling.
Yeah.
I played a demo of that at Too Many Games last year. Didn't even know he was there. And this is an inside scoop. I don't even know if he wants this to be known. I'm going to tell you anyway because you're my friends.
Sweet.
The game. So this is the breaking news. This game was originally going to be featuring YouTube personalities.
Okay.
When it first came out, this is long ago. He reached out to Metal Jesus and the crew, so I was included in that too. And he reached out to me because he knew I was a huge wrestling fan and video game fan and video game wrestling fan. So he reached out just kind of casually asking, like, "Hey, would it be okay to use your likeness in this video game I'm working on?" And of course, I was like, "Yeah, go for it. I don't care. Sure, whatever."
Like, please.
I want to play it too. By all means, please. So then he's like, all right, cool. And then never heard back from him, and then ran into him about Too Many Games. He's like, oh my God, John Riggs, I got to show you this thing that I'm working on. And when he showed me basically what you already see in the photo that they're sharing on social media, they're doing this huge tournament right now to elect an indie wrestler into it, which I think is pretty cool. 8-Bit Eric is one of the, 8-Bit Eric has been a pro wrestler before he did YouTube,
right.
Joey Spector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's in the contingent to be in this game too, which I think is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And it plays, and he's like, you know what, this is a love letter to WrestleFest or WrestleFest? What am I?
Yeah,
no, it would have been WrestleFest. Yeah, I'm thinking of the other one. Yeah, so it's a love letter to WrestleFest.
There's WrestleMania Arcade, and then there's WrestleFest.
Yeah. So So this is it's a love letter to WrestleFest, which is that arcade style WWE game. It had what they call the Royal Rumble in it. Had Earthquake, had Demolition was in it. Legion of Doom.
Big Boss Man.
Big Boss, absolutely. So then he realized, he's like, oh, I figured that I could just reach out to the wrestlers themselves and get them to sign in on it instead of using YouTube guides, which I think is a way better idea anyway. Well, as long as you put me in the audience or make me the ring announcer or something, I'll be happy. He's like, oh, of course. So I may or may not be in the audience. Yeah, well, I don't know about that either.
You'll be the Vince McMahon or something. Come on,
but
strip the title away from me during the storyline or something.
But it's that total throwback to WrestleFest, which I loved playing in the arcade. And then come to find out, I think he announced this maybe a month ago, that he actually reached out to Technos, who owns the license, and got it approved. So it's not just a love letter to it; it is the official sequel to WrestleFest.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're even so he's actually able to do that, and still adding new wrestlers all the time. I have no inside scoop of who's being added whenever. And I find out like everyone else on Twitter and social media and everything. But I think
I've been following them because we need more good wrestling games especially after WWE 2K20.
Oh my god, I haven't played a WWE game since like 2K15, I think, and I was like, I'm done for now. I'm good.
Yeah, I've got everyone since it was SmackDown because it's just a continuation of the SmackDown series.
Right.
And I get them every year, but I get them for really cheap nowadays because I find not very much. 2K17 I think was the last one I really played, and I was super impressed with the create a wrestler. Like I actually made my exact self, not just something that looked like me, but you could there was a site where you could scan in a picture, like you could take a picture of your shirt.
Oh,
and
wow.
then go on the site and grab it and then put it on your shirt. So I was wearing my exact shirt I was wearing. I scanned my face. And I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly me.
I might have to find that one out.
I'll have to send you the picture of it.
Yeah,
and
please
I was
do.
so impressed. And then I went to play the storyline after making the move lists get more and more convoluted every year too. So it took me probably like 3 hours to do all my moves. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to start the storyline. And they start the storyline and I'm just wearing some shorts when I had like pants and like some runners. And I was like, what's going on? Oh, I'm in NXT. They're going to make me like earn it a little bit. And, I had just like stripped down like fireman's carries and little little drop toe holds, like real
Young
like,
Lion
classic
style.
wrestling. Yeah, like classic wrestling moves. And then I was like, once I get through the training, I'm sure I'll get my move list that I just spent 3 hours. No, you gotta earn money and then buy those moves and then do the move. Wow. I'm like, then why did I just spend hours doing this? So that's pretty much around the time I stopped playing it. Because I was pretty mad that was an investment, especially after playing it almost every year up to that point.
Yeah, Retromania Wrestling, that's one to look out for 100%. Just old school arcade wrestling style. When I played it, you could only play as like Hawk and Animal. But Tommy Dreamer signed into the game, and Tommy Dreamer was like literally right there, like signing autographs and taking pictures and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love
he
ECW.
I was a huge ECW fan back in the day. I have like pictures of me back then. I don't have the shirts anymore, unfortunately.
I seen the picture you posted the other day. Your throwback.
Yeah. I have that one. I have another one too. My hair was dyed a cobalt blue for years, so I had the BWO shirt. So I had Blue World Order, and I had blue hair at the time and everything. So.
Is that why you go by John Blue Riggs, or is that actually your actual middle name?
No, it's not my real name. When I had to get an email address, and people called me when I first started radio back. I'm a radio DJ by my day job, and when I first started radio broadcasting in 2000, I was still in college, and I had my hair cobalt blue. When I got a job, somebody in the building was already named John, so just to differentiate, they called me Blue.
Oh, okay.
So on the air, I just went by Blue. That was just my radio name for the first 3 years, and I was in radio.
My boy Blue. Every time somebody called in to request something.
Yeah, it was right. I stopped dyeing my hair right when that movie came out, so it was like perfect timing. But people still called me Blue for the longest time. So when it came to, I had to have an email address, and I got off of AOL at the time, so finally got real internet. So I was like, I need to come up with a new email address. I'll just be my John Blue Riggs. So that's why I go by that on everything.
Sure. Perfect. Oh yeah, I was kind of wondering after I saw the blue hair.
Yeah, no, my hair's a lost cause now after so many years and 3 children and
you can wear diverse wigs then and
maybe I just shave it and do the professor the Dr. Robotnik thing now, so it works out all right.
Excellent. Yeah, they also, speaking of Blue, they actually have the Blue Meanie, and I think he's going to be in there. And
he is, Stevie Richards.
Steve Richards.
Yep. Tommy Dreamer, Austin Idol. What's funny? They have John Morrison, and John Morrison just re-signed with WWE, but he gets to stay in the game too. So it's not this weird conflict. He was able to keep John Morrison in the game, and he's going to be wrestling in WWE. So I think that's
they don't have to like change his name to something like obvious. It's obviously supposed to be him, but
right. No, I don't think it's gonna be like
it's not like John Morrigan or something or
right. The Fire Pro idea,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Fire Pro, that's like been like the only good wrestling game to come out in years. Fire Pro World.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of Fire Pro World. I like that one. There's a couple of wrestling. There's in the indie scene on the Nintendo Switch. There's a game called Boxy Wrestling, which is not very good, but it's kind of interesting. It's super pixelized, and I don't know. It plays a lot more like Muscle for the NES, but in a much better way. I don't know. And then they have Matt Mania for the Switch that just came out for the Arcade Archives. But yeah, not a whole lot of great wrestling games out there. So
yeah, especially from the WWE front, like they're touch and go, like they're hit and miss. And I'd say probably the most entertaining one that's come out in the last few years was WWE All Stars, because it was like
that was pretty fun.
Over the top, over the top.
Yeah, just exaggerated.
It reminded me of Def Jam, kind of. Those.
Oh sure,
super exaggerated finishing moves. Yeah.
It
was fun, but it wasn't, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. But yeah, I miss the super, like,
just pick up and play.
The imaginative backstages where you could like go through like downtown and
sure,
like the PS2 ones. I was like, man, they got so much capabilities now. They could do all types of stuff. Yeah, you could jump off of WWE New York and on a guy laying on a limo and blow up all of traffic. I was like, I need this over the topness. Where is it?
I was Retromania Wrestling and looking forward to that, but I mean, I'm sure they're going to announce an AEW game eventually, because all the people who are, like Cody is a huge wrestling fan. Kenny Omega, of course, he streams wrestling sometimes. Young Bucks, I'm sure. So I mean, we're in that generation now where these fans are. I mean, it's not this weird taboo like, oh my god, you like video games too. It's like everybody likes video games now. It's not a big thing.
Yeah, it's not almost like people seem to be embarrassed when you found out before, and you're like,
oh wow. Sure. Yeah, this really closet thing. It's like everybody.
You're gonna go play some Nintendo? You're like, yeah, actually.
Yeah, and you do too. What's wrong?
yeah. You're going home to play Nintendo. What are you talking about? You're just trying to ridicule me because you think it's
exactly. No,
that's funny.
But all right.
Besides that, I'm also on the hardware side of things. I'm actually pretty stoked for that TurboGrafx Mini.
Oh yeah.
As far as mini consoles go, I'm kind of played out on the idea of it, but the TurboGrafx one, I think, will be one of the last ones I got.
Got mine pre-ordered. Looking forward to it.
Same.
And the fact that they're doing like with the Genesis Mini, I just got one recently when GameStop was doing their daily deal, $35. I was like, okay, that's a good enough price. I'll grab one. But it's just Sega Genesis. I mean, I tried because I also hacked it. Of course, I did. But it doesn't do Master System, doesn't do Game Gear, which it should or could. I mean, the Super Nintendo Mini does. The NES Mini does. But what I like about the TurboGrafx 16 Mini is they're also throwing in like Turbo Duo games, so they're going to be able to play CD games on here too. So they apparently have the BIOS already installed. So hopefully, I mean, give it a couple of days. Someone way smarter than me will crack it, and then we can add in our own games on there too. And so many great TurboGrafx 16, not just TurboGrafx 16, but so many great Turbo Duo games and PC Engine Duo games that most people don't even know about. And I'm a huge fan myself, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, that's another system that I want to collect for, but it's just
it's a rich man's sport.
Quick. Oh yeah. The only reason I even have one already is because, funnily enough, my wife had one when she was a kid, so I've got her collection basically.
That's why you married. Okay.
She's got yeah. I found out, and I'm like, she's got to be mine. It's because I can't afford that shit.
Perfect. Married into it. You know what? I'm married into my PlayStation 2, so it's okay. That's
awesome.
PlayStation 2 was one system I didn't have. It turns out she did. So
there you go. Yeah. Video games guide us to our best life choices.
Well, you're there, yeah.
So, any other games or events you want to shout out before we move on?
Lot of events. I mean, it's 2020, so I mean, there's a lot of game. Like I said, a lot of game conventions. E3. Don't know if I'll go there. A lot of PAX things.
MGC.
But I'm excited because this is. I mean, and I'm officially announcing it right now. This is the first time I've ever been to the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah.
And we welcome you with open arms because we'll be there too.
I'd rather you welcome me with open beers, but that's okay. I'll take the arms.
Absolutely.
I'll have
Arms
some,
outstretched with a beer in each one.
Every
There
time
you
I
go.
go to MGC on the way, I always stop and pick up a few cases of New Glarus Spotted Cow, so I'll definitely hook you up with a Spotted Cow.
Oh, I
Yeah,
appreciate
definitely.
that. Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
I've never been in the area. I'm from kind of near Seattle, so I'm used to the Northwest. The Seattle conventions, Portland, of course. Just as of a couple of years ago, started seeing what else is out there. Because every convention has their own vibe, its own feeling,
Yep.
its own. They do things a different way, whether it be positive or negative, but it's their own way of doing things. So,
Absolutely.
it's like St. Louis has a wonderful convention. It's like Mo GameCon, Mo for
Yep.
Missouri. Mo GameCon, I can't recommend it enough. Was finally able to check out Game On in Phoenix. I went to too many games for the first time last year. I'll be going back this year too.
Sweet.
But there's a lot of conventions out there. But yeah, coming up, the next one's going to be Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, and I'm a huge foodie as well. So I started immediately. Like, what's Milwaukee known for? Beer, brats, cheese plates, charcuterie. They have something called
Superman ice cream.
they have that. Well, I found out Superman ice cream is mostly from Michigan, and
Oh, okay.
Milwaukee's known for Blue Moon ice cream, which is not Blue Moon the beer, by the way. It's its own. It's a blue color and everything. But there is a place in Milwaukee that has both Superman and Blue Moon, so I can kill two birds with one stone. Just get a double scoop, I suppose.
Let's go get some ice cream headaches and then some beer headaches too.
maybe the brain freeze will neutralize the hangover, and
wow.
two negatives makes a positive. I'm not sure. They have something called butter burgers, which I guess are just burgers with butter slathered on them.
Like a buttery bun, I think, like a really.
Well, it kind of sounds like Culver's.
Almost like- yeah.
Because Culver's is a chain that we have here,
And that's the
Midwest.
frozen custard.
Yep.
Okay.
It's great.
Yeah, frozen custard's huge. Yeah.
But they
Butter
got
burgers
awesome
are basically
burgers,
it's
too.
just it's just a burger, and they butter the bun and then they fry it, so you kind of get like a little crisp.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh,
I
that's good
tried.
stuff.
I tried one
I'll
on
rock that.
Yeah, good.
On the
good.
way back from my first Midwest Game Classic, we stopped at a Culver's.
Yeah.
Actually, everywhere we stopped on that way back, I ended up eating a burger. Like every time we stopped, everyone's like, what is wrong with you, dude? I'll be like,
Yeah,
oh,
and I'm
cool, there's a DQ here. I'll get a burger. And oh, yeah, stop at Culver's. I'll get a burger.
And I'm not much of a burger fan to begin with, but I gotta at least try one of those while I'm in town. But I mean, I order off. I like finger foods. I usually order off the appetizers for my entree kind of thing. So, so when it comes to cheese curds or when it comes to wings, it's like I just need something to drink and eat.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
Well,
good.
we'll have to have you as part of our YouTuber dinner thing that we got.
Oh, there you go.
Every year for sure. We'll find somewhere with good burgers and curds and all that crap.
Yeah.
But,
Birds and curds. Love it.
Yeah, burgers and curds. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm a very big proprietor of the burgers.
Okay.
I'm all about the burgers.
Well,
if you don't want to get
I'll
the
find
burger,
I'll find something to eat wherever I go.
There you go.
absolutely.
Cool. So let's jump into the community question real quick as we wrap things up here.
Let's do it.
Last episode, our question to the listeners was related to our end of the year podcast, of course, which is Game of the Year. So we asked what were some people's favorite top games of the decade. We got a couple comments this time, which is awesome. Can always count on Linda, aka the Gamer Girl.
Linda.
Yeah.
What's up, Linda?
And she says Friday the 13th, which was released on the Switch. Awesome game.
I agree,
Of
100%.
course. Yeah,
that
yeah.
was I did a collaboration with Gaming Off the Grid,
Yes.
and that was my number one game of the decade,
yes.
probably for the same reason.
It's
Yeah.
I loved it. I played it on PC myself, but I put 300
Perfect.
hours into that game. It was so much
Oh
fun.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, you backed it too, so you
Yes.
kind of felt.
That too.
Yeah. You better like it.
Yeah.
You're stuck with it now.
And then she also said River City Girls, Life is Strange, Wonder Boy Returns, Starlink, Crash Team Racing remake, Spyro the Dragon remake.
Wow.
These are just a few she can
Yeah.
remember right now.
A lot of great games.
And then we also had a comment from Matt Wheaton, and he said 5 was Fire Emblem 3 Houses, everything awesome about the series cranked to 11.5.
I need to get more
Ace-
into that as much as I
yes.
love my Fire
Yeah,
Emblem.
oh yeah, it's a good one.
It gets a lot of praise.
yeah.
Then he said Ace Combat 7 when y'all want to go
Nice.
Top Gun
Yeah.
with some Gundam on the side. Which I didn't know that there's mechs in Ace
I
Combat
didn't know that
7.
either. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, there's a great VR mode in it for sure.
I thought it was just like a flight sim, so I kind of avoided. But I'm actually looking more into it now after his comment.
Then Resident Evil 2 remake, best remake ever. Period. Which
Yeah,
I
have to
probably
agree.
agree. I can
I can get on board with that. I loved it.
Love it. Then he says number 2, Damon Ex Machina, best damn love letter to Armored Core with Zone of the Enders on the side. And I didn't play that one because that's a Switch exclusive, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, I think it's one of those. It's like not. I hate to use the Armored Core reference, but it's kind of like Armored Core. Yeah, you have to love getting into the games, like like our Virtual On back in my day.
Sure,
day.
yeah.
Lord, how old am I? It's like you could look at it and say not for me, but it's like once you play it a little bit, you're like okay, I get it. Especially if you love mechs and that style that. I don't know. There's a certain mindset for it. Maybe I have a friend who's super into it, but I also have a friend who's like, man, I don't get it, so I'm not going to touch it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a acquired taste sometimes.
Yeah.
Acquired taste is a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then his number 1 was Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel 3, best tribute to his favorite video game, Xenogears, which
interesting.
I'm kind of confused about that one. So
Just play it.
Yeah,
just play it. That's what
I
my
gotta play
comment
1 and
was.
2 still. I have the first one. I just haven't played it yet.
That's my problem. Is I played it at E3 and I was like, this is awesome, and the remasters that they did for the PS4 were basically remastered on that engine. So like a lot of the improvements that are in the third one are in the remasters of the new ones. And I was like, okay, I'm going to play through 1 and 2 before 3 comes out because I really want to play 3 because it just looks really, really cool. And I'm probably like 30 or 40 hours into the first one and I haven't beat it yet. So I'll have to keep going on those, but I definitely want to play that. I was a little bummed when the first 2 came in steelbooks, and then the third one came out and I didn't get a steelbook. I was like, man, now they don't match. So I had to buy a $200 collector's edition to get the steelbook. So kids out.
And then he followed it up with saying Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel Saga was his games of the decade.
Okay.
So
I love the battle system in those games. Like I said, going around getting to know people stuff gets kind of old in the first one so far what I'm playing, but as soon as it gets to the battles, it just gets me back again. I just love the fighting system in those games.
Excellent.
So definitely all about that.
So John, any really standout games for you from the decade?
Man, the first game that I always thought of, I'm with Linda on this one, Friday the 13th. I just had so much fun when I played it on the PlayStation 4 originally, and then grabbed it on Switch later too. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, there was something about it. I mean, it was let's be honest, it's not perfect. It was buggy, especially when it first came out. There's glitches. But I liked the fact, and my wife and I are split on this one because I love Friday the 13th. She likes Dead by Daylight.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've tried to get into Dead by Daylight, but man, it's like to win the level or whatever, you can kind of only do one thing, and that's fix the generators, which takes way too long, and then go through the exit, and then you're done. But I like the fact that there's multiple, so it's not just Jason every time. I like the fact that it's not just Jason every time.
Sure.
But then with Friday the 13th, you can either fix the phone and call the police. You can you can do
take a car.
You can take the boat, take the car. You can wait it out with the time. I mean, there's multiple ways that you can get through the level depending on how you want to play the game.
Yeah.
Or you can also defeat Jason. I've done that literally. I think once in reality. We've done it before just to see if we could. Like my friends and I, it's like, oh hey, I'm going to be Jason. So here's what you have to do and what buttons you have to push. But only one time that we actually defeat Jason the way you can actually legit kill him and actually got the team together and worked out the timing and everything.
That's badass.
Yeah, awesome. we were super excited about it. It was like, I don't know, solving a Rubik's Cube for us as a 12-year-old. It was like we were all giddy, and of course we're all older and have kids and all that. It was like, ooh, we actually did it.
Well, especially growing up seeing the movies, you know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no easy task by all means.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then our community question for next week. So everybody listening, let us know what are some of your lesser known 2020 releases that you're excited for.
Oh.
Of course, we know all the big releases. Everybody's excited for the big releases, but What are some of those games that not everybody's thinking about? Yes.
I want to know all about it. Yeah,
Yes.
because there's so much stuff coming out. Like I think I was saying to you the other day, I was like, you know what? I wish they could just like take a year off from new stuff so I could just catch up.
I would love that.
These last few years have been so busy. As much as I love new games, it's just more temptation to take me away from, to make me squirrel away from the 30 games I bought that I didn't even play yet,
Right. Well, you never know.
Yeah.
But Carry On would be like in that list, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
If I was going to be on the thing next week, you submitting that question, I'm really looking forward to a game called Fall Guys, which they showed briefly, quickly during the Devolver. It's from Devolver Digital, and they showed it briefly during the Devolver presentation at E3. But it's one of those like 100 versus 1 games, but it goes through all these little mini games. It's almost like it's the mini games from Mario Party, but it all leads up. What's that game? That MXC. Remember? Do you remember MXC?
Yes.
This game. Even speaking to one of the developers. This game is so heavily inspired by MXC. It's not even funny. It's all cute and cuddly, and everyone looks like little jelly beans and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but there's literally the like you have to go through the door, but sometimes the door doesn't break, so you have to go through a different door, and maybe that one does break, and you have to keep going. And it goes through all these mini games, and it just narrows it down until the final kind of obstacle course to grab the floating crown. But you play it online. It's going to be a blast. But it's called Fall Guys. It looks super, super cutesy and kids, but this is one of those. You go back to the game, the days of like couch co-op and whatever. You play this online.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a winner for sure. Yeah, it's like
the commentary would just be the coup de grace on top.
right, you are, kid.
Awesome.
Kenny Blankenship and
Cool.
Oh, I miss that show so much.
Yeah.
I'm glad I picked up the DVDs when I did, because if you look up the DVDs now on eBay, they're going for a premium.
I have tried. Yeah.
Okay,
I tried about a year and a half ago, and I was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm tired of looking up on YouTube they only have out short clips and crap.
Right.
And I was like, I want to just watch episodes of this because it's one of those things I could like throw on in the background while I'm fixing something or doing or organizing the game room, and I'm like, that's what I loved about it. I was always when it was on Spike, that's what I was always watching.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
But,
love it.
What about you, Church? What do you got? What are some lesser known?
Pretty much the ones I already mentioned.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Carry On's gonna be great.
Why did they just follow up Trover already? Oh man. Yeah. I didn't even mention that I finished off Trover and Time Carnage picked up some VR again for the first time, but
oh nice.
That game was spectacular. Did you play Trover at all, John? Trover Saves the Universe?
No, I have it. Here's my story. I have it. I liked what I played of it. I'm also a huge Rick and Morty fan.
Yes.
And I got not too far into it. Maybe like second or third level. Is it level based?
Yeah.
Or world based or whatever.
Yep.
So I got to about the third level, and then but my oldest daughter also likes the comedy and likes the VR. She's like, I want to play it. I was like, well, here, you can play it and just start from the beginning and erase my game or whatever. That was no big deal. So she did, and then she played all the way through. But I was like, I didn't want to play it when she was still in the middle of playing it because I wanted her to beat it and get it over with. Well, she beat it, and then I just never got back to it.
Yeah.
But I still have it. It's also available on Switch. If you don't want to play it in VR, you don't have to play it in VR. But I like playing it in VR because I'm a VR. I'm a VR supporter. So one of my games I want to beat this year.
Pick it back up. Yeah, I highly
recommend.
Yeah,
I'll pick it back up for sure. Oh yeah,
it's
not going anywhere.
It was one of the first ones I beat this year because it was one of those ones I mentioned being like halfway through. Right. And I was like, I absolutely have to get back to this one now.
Right. Yeah, it's a fun one for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, that humor just like had me laughing the whole way through. Usually the kind of comedy games they kind of wear thin on you after a while, but that one. Right. I went back. It was my first platinum of the year. Also, I had to do everything.
Oh, nice. and I had to tell my friend this too because I have a friend who. He does not. Not that he doesn't like Rick and Morty, but he knows nothing about it. He's never seen it, never watched it, and he was like, "Well, I can't. I don't want to play because I never watched Rick and Morty." Well, you don't have. You honestly don't have to know or watch or anything about Rick and Morty.
Yeah, not at all.
No, it has nothing to do. It's just the same creator. It's like watching Futurama, being like, "I've never seen The Simpsons."
Yeah, well, no, yeah, it happens to be the same writers or whatever. It's just its own thing, So
yeah, oh yeah, it's just like if I was going to compare it to Rick and Morty, I'd say it's like one of those episodes where they're just flipping through the channels.
100%, absolutely, yeah, yeah, good call.
Yeah, and there's actually a free add-on that came out with it. It's just like an update, so a lot of people don't know about it. Actually, Church didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Until I told him when I was playing, I was like, "Oh yeah, there's like an add-on for it." So maybe it's a good thing you waited. Now there's a
there you go.
play. So,
Hey, I'll take it. Nice,
Awesome.
nicely done. See, that's why I didn't play it again.
yeah,
All right, so
you're in the know.
Yeah, that's it.
So as we're kind of wrapping things up here, usually we just kind of talk about what games we plan on playing in the next couple weeks. So, John, you want to any plans on what you're going to be playing in the next couple weeks? You plan ahead?
There's like I said, I don't. No, I just have to be spur of the moment. Whatever's happening right now, that's what I'm playing. What I recently picked up. I did a quick video of it on my channel recently, but there's a game called Tamashii, or it's called Tamashii, Tamashii, and it plays going back to Celeste. It plays a lot like Celeste, where it's just one of those you have to just keep moving, watch the spikes. If you die, no big deal. You're going to respawn immediately and just keep going through the level. But it has I hate to say the word satanic, but it has a satanic vibe in a good way, where everything's like dark and deep and grungy. But it has that Celeste feeling where it's like you just have to keep going through and keep going through. You mess up, no big deal. Unlimited lives, keep on trucking through it. I have a friend of mine just persevere. I had a friend of mine who picked it up. He played all the way through it in one day. So I'm pretty sure I can beat that once I get the moment to check it out there.
It looks pretty sweet. Looks.
I remember your video on it made it look pretty cool.
Right. And there's always new games coming out all the time for the Switch. I love grabbing those, there's just the cheap, $2, $3 games, $5 games,
they'll surprise I can afford you sometimes. Those. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why, support the indie guys and find what I can find anyway.
And it's a small gamble. If it sucks, you only out $2. $60 when you buy a $60 game and it sucks, you're really
there's several games that are out there that are like that. I picked up one game recently called I'll give it another chance, but there's a game called Dronjin. I don't know if you've heard that one. It's like Dungeon, but it's called Dronjin. DRAWN, like Dronjin. Yeah. So it's a dungeon crawler, but everything is hand drawn. Like it looks like it was drawn with like a pencil. Or like almost like colored like crayons or something like that. But you're going through first person perspective, kind of like those old maybe like
kids used to draw levels.
like Bard's Tale almost for like the NES, or I'm trying to think of a game that was like that.
Yeah, the first-person dungeon crawlers.
Like those, where you can go inside. Like, can you keep the spiders in there? So you go in there, you hit the button to slash the spider. But
that's pretty cool.
I couldn't really get into it, but it's interesting enough. I want to keep playing it.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it's something that sounds like it's worth a thing. When you were describing, I was thinking like when you're in school and you can't be playing video games, so you draw levels for your friend and
draw your own map.
Figure out how to get through it, man. You got to grab the stick to get here.
Right.
I don't know if it was just me, but
no,
me too.
I didn't have video. I wasn't allowed to have a Nintendo until I was like 14. My parents just gave up because I already owned a bunch of games. But so that was pretty much what I was doing most of the time, honestly, when I couldn't go to a friend's and play.
Awesome.
So off the top of my head, that's all I can think. But
cool.
Who knows what's coming out tomorrow? I'm always looking out for some new stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you got going on, Church? What are you looking at?
So I'll be wrapping up Celeste. I think. Well, I don't know. I think I could probably do it in one more session. And then after that, I think because I've been neglecting VR, I'm going to squeeze in a quick VR game. I was thinking about checking out either Accounting Plus or Project Lux.
Well, Accounting Plus, you just need like an hour.
Yeah. So I might do both.
I mean, you could beat it quickly, or you could take like an hour and a half, maybe. It's fun. Yeah.
Project Lux, if you haven't played it yet, both Project Lux and Tokyo Chronos are they're virtual novels. There's not actually a game involved. You just look at what's happening through the world around you, and it goes to the storyline. And you don't have to hit any buttons or anything. It's like it's almost like a VR movie. So you can go through it if you want. It's fine. It's just there's no action or anything.
Oh, okay.
So
I wasn't really sure what to expect. It looked interesting. I saw when Limited Run did the release for it. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I bought two. Yeah.
Me too.
I've been hoping to get through some more VR stuff, but I think I'll be playing some Terminator Resistance because that came in the mail today, and it shouldn't be any surprise to anyone that I absolutely love Terminator. So I've been looking forward to that. It was supposed to be released last month.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm much overdue on playing that.
Finally.
That'll I might call in sick all weekend and just play that.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews on it, but from what I've gathered, basically if you're a Terminator fan, you're gonna love it. But it's
good.
As a game itself, it's just kind of it's okay.
Sure.
But if you're a Terminator fan, you'll get a lot more out of it. And I'm like, well, that's me. So
yeah.
as long as it's like I said, I think I said to you earlier, John. As long as it's better than Rambo because it's from the same developer.
Okay.
That's why I
never had a chance to check out Rambo either. So.
Well, maybe I'll have to send you my copy so I don't have to have it anymore. With the controller, it's like almost unplayable. But with the move, it was actually kind of fun. A lot of people don't seem to know that you can use the move on it. And I had to stand in full Rambo stance the whole time I played it, or else I didn't feel like I was actually playing a Rambo game. You know, you got to shoot from the hip, and just muscle, do the muscle stance. But it was pretty enjoyable. But like that last level, they just ramped it up and threw like triple the enemies at you, so it got kind of frustrating. But I did it. Just wasn't proud of it.
Oh yeah, and I gotta mention, I'm finally gonna make Jason happy. After I play those VR games, knock a couple quick games off. Finally gonna play Yakuza 0.
Oh,
yay!
Finally.
He gave me a copy like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
It's about your birthday 2 years ago.
It still holds up today.
Yes.
Yeah, the Yakuza games are great.
Yeah, it's been my like chirp from him, and he's just like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna play next." I'm like, Yakuza 0.
Yep.
I've never forgotten about it. It's just I keep pushing it down, but now it's time. It's time.
It is
All
time.
right. Good call.
Then we can just talk about our Yakuza love on every episode and lose a lot of listeners because we'll just, oh my god, it's been 5 episodes, they're still talking about Yakuza.
Cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's one of the other things I'm looking forward to is that Yakuza collection coming out this year.
Yes. So as we close things out here, in case anybody doesn't know how to get a hold of you, John, where can they find you on social media?
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but my name is John Rigg'd, and with John Blue Rigg'd. My Twitter account is Twitter, Instagram. You can find me at John Blue Rigg'd. YouTube, if you just search for my name, it's the best thing you can do. Just search for John Rigg'd, and you'll see me coming up with either holding a video game, or holding a box of cereal, or holding a beer.
Or maybe all three.
Anyway. Or maybe all three. Yeah.
Perfect.
And I stream on Twitch every once in a while. I don't have a schedule because I have children and I have a full-time job and I have a part-time job and all that. But every once in a while, if I'm playing something late at night on the PlayStation 4, I just do the lazily hit the share button. And it's usually VR games. And recently, I've been playing a game called Demo, which is interesting enough. But man, as soon as that Iron Man VR comes out, man, I'll be all in on it.
Yeah, man. I got that pre-ordered. I cannot wait. It's hopefully gonna be a good year for Marvel games.
Oh
Maybe they'll stealth release Spider-Man 2 even for PS4, or PS5.
I love it. But hit me up on social media. Whatever social media works best for you, I'm always around.
Awesome.
Totally.
Then
He's
in
like
case
the coolest guy to talk to. So
yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And in case anybody doesn't know how to get a hold of us, of course, the podcast is available on SoundCloud and YouTube, podcast apps. Look us up, Game Tenants Podcast. If you want to get a hold of me, you can go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just look up The Game Grinder. And for Jason, you can go on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Look up Corpse Flood Gaming.
If you dare.
Yes.
Ooh.
Whoa, I like to leave the ominous vibe.
Yeah. So then of course, John, thank you very much for joining us. We've wanted to have you on for quite a while. I'm glad you finally did.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm here, man.
Excellent.
He's the most positive guy in the gaming community, so we're happy to have you on.
Yes.
So,
no reason not to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, and so that's what it's all about. I mean, I had a lot of help along my way, of course, and there's like I said, no reason not to. I'm a fan just like anyone else. Whether I remember waiting out for video game conventions, waiting out in line with everyone else in the cold 2 hours early, just so I could hopefully find those finds. And now I'm more invited to other conventions, but I still fly out to my like I went to Too Many Games last year, not as a guest. I had bought my own plane ticket, bought my own hotel.
Absolutely. Is
So,
that what that's
I'm-
what you're doing for Midwest Gaming Classic too, right?
I'm a fan of the community. I'm booking. I haven't booked my flight yet, but I am. But I've told way too many people that I'm going to be there. So I'm a man of my word, and my word is my bond. I am going to be there.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to do like a $5 or $10 game challenge or something.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll be there filming too. Oh, yeah. I'll be doing a lot of video on that
Awesome.
too.
Sweet.
So.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do a challenge or something because those always look like fun.
Oh, yeah. It's always especially hanging out with Jason, Metal Jesus, Jason, and Kinsey and Kelsey and Reggie and John. I mean, we're all friends anyway. We just every once in a while we happen to film something sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm sure it's gonna be a great time, and maybe I'll have to invite them down next time. We'll see.
Absolutely. You're scouting ahead.
Always, yeah. Always got good things to say.
Yes.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah,
And-
so that is going to do it for this episode of the Game Tenants Podcast. Everybody listening, thank you very much, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Later.